So the number one role of government is to punish wrongdoers and protect innocent people from evil. Now, I don't need to tell people in this room that neither of the parties are perfect. However, I've noticed that one party generally is for law and order and the other isn't. Sorry, I'm just the messenger.
So my name is 𝗧𝗕𝗓𝗓, and I'm actually the Libertarian candidate for Congressional District 3, so here in Newport News and around. And I wanted to thank you both for coming on tonight and sharing your knowledge in this presentation. I've never attended a Turning Point event, and I want to say that I was very pleasantly surprised. I've learned so much. And in the testimony that you give this evening about the faith to be an atheist, you touched upon lightly politics and how politics is ingrained within the Bible. And I wanted to ask the both of you now, in looking at true Christianity, how do you feel that Jesus would want us as Christians to conduct ourselves, not just as public servants trying to be in the world of politics and running a campaign, but also when it comes to the audience as Christians? How are we supposed to react to what's going on in modern times? Because it's very difficult at times not to, get very wound up in things that really don't matter, in smear campaigns and pointing fingers. So how do you both feel as Christians that we should be conducting ourselves through these difficult seasons and trying trials in politics?
Great question, Haley. I think we can take from Jesus that he was involved in politics. You say, how so? Who did he go after the most? The Pharisees. Who were the Pharisees? Some of them were on the Sanhedrin, the Jewish ruling council. They were the politicians. And here's what Jesus says in Matthew 23:23. It's easy to remember. He said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you're tithing your spices, mint, dill, and cumin, but you're neglecting the weightier matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have practiced the former without neglecting the latter, you blind guides. You strain out a gnat and swallow a camel." Now, what's he saying here? He's saying, just like he said elsewhere, that there's hierarchies, that certain things are more important than other things. And as a politician or as a Christian, we have to concentrate on the major things when it comes to politics. Because God set up the three institutions that are prevalent in society. One is the family, then government, then the church. And he gave different commands to government than he gave to individuals or others, or the family, the church, and government. There's different commands. So love your neighbor, turn the other cheek. Those were commands to individuals, particularly turn the other cheek, but it wasn't meant for government. Because government's command, according to Romans chapter 13, is to punish wrongdoers, to protect innocent people from evil. You as an individual can choose to turn the other cheek if somebody insults you. You don't turn the other cheek if somebody physically wants to harm you. In fact, Jesus himself didn't turn the other cheek when he was struck. He said, "Who struck me?" So turn the other cheek is an individual command to overlook an offense. The government isn't designed nor commanded to overlook an offense. If governments overlooked offenses, you'd have anarchy. Their job is to punish wrongdoers and protect innocent people from evil. So the number one role of government is to punish wrongdoers and protect innocent people from evil. Now, I don't need to tell people in this room that neither of the parties are perfect. However, I've noticed that one party generally is for law and order and the other isn't. Sorry, I'm just the messenger. The border was open for 4 years. We've had drugs come across, terrorists come across, sex traffickers come across. There are 300,000 missing girls in this country right now because the Biden administration left the border open on purpose. How many cells do we have from Iran in this country right now? They failed to protect innocent people from evil by punishing wrongdoers. Not that the Republicans are perfect, they're not. But they appear to be about law and order, and that is your fundamental mission as someone in government. In fact, James Madison said it best. He said, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. Would we need a government if we were angels? No, we only need a government because we're fallen. And our fathers, founding fathers, knew that we were fallen. That's why we have separated powers. legislative, judicial, and executive. And you'd be part of the executive branch if you win. You're supposed to execute the laws that are, well, you'd be part of the legislative branch. You pass the laws, and then the executive branch is supposed to execute those laws. If the executive branch doesn't execute the laws, you don't have a government. You have anarchy. And we've seen anarchy, and it's not good. So, we have to major in the majors, not the minors. In the last election, Kamala Harris wanted to ban plastic straws, but she wanted to pay for abortions up to the moment of birth at the same time. Is she majoring in the minors? Yeah, she's majoring in the minors.
Well,
she's more concerned about plastic straws than children being aborted.
I don't really think it's necessarily, I'm not arguing, but I think that, yes, we do, I think to them, in that perspective, plastic straws are more important than babies? Yes, I think that indeed we see extremism in both sides of the political spectrum, and I think a lot of us get hung. So to them, perhaps, that is more important than dying children, suffering babies.
I know. What I'm saying is Jesus would say,
yes.
Are you out of your mind?
Oh, of course.
You're majoring in the minors. So I just think life is the most important thing. If you don't have life, you don't have anything. The right to life is the right to all of the rights. So we have to order our political priorities accordingly, according to how Jesus put it. David, anything to add?
Oh, just one thing. So you pointed to Romans 13, where Paul says that governments are instituted by God for a reason, for all of us. Would be kind of easy for some people to misread that and think that Paul's saying governments get to do what they want and so on. But you actually see it in Acts chapter 25, where the new Roman governor wants to get in good with Paul's enemies. So he says, I'm sending, hey, Paul, I'm going to send you to Jerusalem. He knows they're going to kill him on the way, and he wants to do them a favor. And Paul says, if I've done anything worthy of death, I do not hesitate to die. But if I haven't, no one has a right to hand me over to them. And he says, I appeal to Caesar. So he didn't say no one has the ability to hand me over to them. He obviously had the ability. He's saying no one has a right to hand me over to them. And so ultimately didn't work out for Paul. He was eventually beheaded and so on. But that was Paul calling on his government to do the right thing and to protect his rights as a citizen. So I think we can do the same thing.
Thank you, Haley. Appreciate it. By the way, one other point on that, one of the ways you love your neighbor in a civic sense is to put laws in place that protect them from evil. That's what you're supposed to do. And let me just ask one question about that. If any of you in here are squeamish about politics, do you think Christians should have worked to outlaw slavery? Yes. Okay, there's your answer. If you're not involved in politics, guess who is? Satan. You have to use your influence to the best of your ability to put laws in place that protect innocent people from evil. If you don't get involved, people who have opposite views, which hurt people, are gonna win the day.